Welcome back everybody to our secondary channel, and first of all I must say thank you to all my new subscribers. Guys, that has really blown me away. The other thing that I am just completely astounded by is the last video that we posted. You can see that as of the time of this video, we're almost at 9,700 views for that Unicron figure from Beast Wars, which is basically the Transmetal Scavenger / Inferno. And I'm just really shocked. So thank you guys. I really appreciate everything you're doing for this channel. Now, Leo Prime, or Lio Convoy, however you want to call him, he is actually going to be having his review on the main channel. But in the meantime, over this last weekend, I had 4 more guys drop at my doorstep. And I was like, okay, you know, Shrapnel, Dreadwing, I feel I have a full review of those guys in me. However, Crosscut and Crashbar, I don't really have a whole lot. So they kind of inspired me to do this video where we're going to look at both of them, but we're not going to go full in-depth review like we normally would. But we're also going to have the G1 Retro Hot Rod, and there's a few things I want to say about them. Not an incredibly super huge amount, basically. So starting off with our boy Crosscut here, I have to say that I love the kind of show-offy paint job it's got going on here with the fantastic silver and the red stripes. You know, he feels like a senator that's trying to show off. So, you know, it fits this whole vibe. Plus, whereas Skids was very subdued, this thing, it just kind of embraces that action figure aesthetic, because I love the red wheels and this cannon attachment up here like we saw on Skids. It's embracing the fact that it's an action figure, and it just gives no qualms whatsoever, because the majority of our Transformers nowadays are like, okay, I'm supposed to be a real world vehicle, embrace your imagination as what I'm supposed to be. And this thing just kind of flies in the face of it and goes, yeah, I'm a toy, deal with it. Now you can see whenever we stack him up to some of the more recent boys that he does fit in scale alongside Scraphook over there, but our boy Crashbar is kind of blowing it. However, we did address the whole scale thing in his video, so if you haven't seen it on the main channel, go look. We discussed why you really shouldn't be comparing the Junkions in vehicle mode, because let's face it, these deluxe class boys, they blow the whole scale. However, do not get me wrong, because I don't mean that this thing is a bad figure, because it's definitely not. It's nice to kind of see that Junkion aesthetic, which I've really kind of come to love in the last few years. It's nice to see it on such a deluxe and compact scale. Now, one of the funny things, as you've probably noticed, is he does have these saddlebags down here, or at least we're supposed to look like that, which become his blasters in robot mode. But as you can see here, if you want to use them as just jet boosters and make it look like he is literally rocketing along, definitely he owns that. Now, it is kind of funny because he's not the only deluxe scale motorcycle we've gotten. Remember that we've had several iterations of the RC mold. I'm glad that they went with something distinct for Crashbar. So as you can see here, the core class guys seem to fit in scale with the vehicle mode. However, that's very dependent upon if you view this as accurate scale or not, because I could see how this guy is meant to fit in the line with the rest of the boys, while this hot rod is not. So how does he fare if a deluxe wants to ride him? Yeah, I'm gonna say that no, he cannot ride Crashbar, which is kind of sad, because it kind of flies in the face of what you see in the '86 movie. The one guy that's riding the other Junkion, when they crash, they then flip roles, like the one guy becomes the motorcycle and the other guy then starts riding him to attack the Autobots. And these guys are not meant for that sort of play pattern. If you want what you saw in the movie, that's why you have Retgar and the remold that came from him. They can actually do what we were just talking about. Whereas again, these guys are more based on that weaponizer modulator sort of play pattern. Man, our boy is rocking some of that officious energy in robot mode, isn't he? But he also looks pretty sick at the same time, because I'm loving the blue windows. I mean, he is made of that blue plastic, as you can clearly tell, but from the front side where you see it peeking through, it looks awesome. Because let me tell you this, them using the burnout head for our boy here, Crosscut, it looks awesome. Plus, look at the level of detail that they went to with the head, and I mean, just everything about this. It feels like it should be a Gen Selects figure, but it's not. It's just a normal retail release. So with all the silver and the little bits of red paint and just, I mean, how everything is just picked out so nicely, it makes this boy probably one of my top favorites that I've got in recent times. Now, he does come with the same standard weapons as Skids does, so if you want him to hold this blaster and have this one wrist mounted, and then if you wanted him to be holding an axe at the same time, I mean, he can do all the standard stuff that this mold has been shown to do. And yes, I know that his wheels are actually supposed to collapse up like this to where his robot mode is supposed to look like this. But I do kind of like the idea of him having like roller skates that he can like roll around on. So it's kind of whatever you want to do. I feel it does kind of fill it out a little bit better than just having that giant gap right there. But again, that's all personal preference. So it's a pretty sick figure. Oh man, look at our boy. He is just laying down some big cover fire. And look at these big booming blasters that he has. Now, granted, I think Scraphook, his weapons being the small little engine bits, they are very diminutive in comparison to, you know, the big saddlebag blasters he's rocking right here. But I definitely dig that because even without the blast effects in them, I mean, they just look a little bit oversized for this dude. But Crashbar is really rocking that. Now, when we look at his overall aesthetics, like the abs and the chest and the head, this dude feels like a cross between Optimus Prime, Galvatron, Soundwave, and like Swindle. And like he's got certain elements that attribute to that. Like he's got the Optimus Prime head crest, he's got the Galvatron horns, and the little, you know, 4-pack going on down here. He's kind of got the Swindle chest thing. He's got this, you know, the Soundwave visor, and you know, again, in addition to like the head crest for Optimus, he's got the smokestacks on the back of his shoulders, where they should kind of be right around here. You know what? I mean, this guy, even though he has very similar aesthetics to well-known characters, him being a new guy altogether, I really kind of like that. Plus, the way that his wheels come up on the back of his legs, that's, for some reason, just a design that I really kind of like for some reason. So I discovered something interesting. Is, you know how on the animated Prowl, he has the pieces that come off of his wheels and form his ninja stars, right? Well, whenever this guy transforms, he has both of his wheels from his motorcycle mode on the back of his leg. Now, you can see right here, the other one has been removed, and this is something that is not documented in his instructions at all. Basically, this piece separates and comes apart like that, and then you can take the wheel out. Well, guess what? The wheel has these little spikes that come out of it to give this guy a ninja star also. And on top of that, because it is part of the wheel, you can see that it spins. And I'm like, okay, that's actually kind of cool. And so, I mean, even if you didn't want to use it as a throwing star and you just wanted to use it as like a spinning blade weapon, I'm like, you know what? That's actually really kind of cool. I love that. That is, yeah, that was actually a little treat that I did not discover until I sat behind the camera and started messing around with this dude. So again, something that's interesting, considering, again, it's not in the instructions at all. And our last boy that we're going to look at tonight is none other than Roddy. There's one reason that I rebought this mold, and that is because it is based on the actual deco that he had in the movie instead of the toy. His packaging is really kind of awesome. I love, again, very like similar to how they had Starscream. You can see Unicron there, and it's got the transformation guide, which, again, this boy being an 86 figure, he's not meant to be just overly fantastic as far as design and or transformation goes. But you can see kind of the story there if you want to pause it. And then down here, if you want to pause it, there is basically his neutered tech spec card. Now, looking at the guy himself, you will notice that as opposed to more traditional versions of Hot Rod, he is sporting more of a pink deco instead of a red, which even if we were to pull in his masterpiece, you can see that these boys, there's a dramatic color difference, and you can really kind of start telling more of the pink tones in this as opposed to what is traditionally used on Hot Rod being a red. But I did kind of figure that if you're going to compare him in vehicle mode, why not go from his very first iteration to probably what his best representation. Now, just like you can actually plug stuff in the Masterpiece version, they utilize the Takara version of the hood, which is meant to plug in either one of his weapons that he has in robot mode. But if you want to go with a little bit more of the Target Master route, if you have the actual, this is not him, but if you have the actual fire drive one, because it's a 5mm port, you can just go ahead and plug it in there, and you can have a ridiculously oversized gun sticking out the top of Hot Rod's vehicle mode. Which, one thing that I dig about this figure is how well it rolls. That engineering has not changed at all. Now, do I miss the chrome pipes and everything? Yeah, but I don't think it would really go as well with this deco. And I just love how kind of compact and neat and clean this thing feels without all the stickers on it. But this was the one thing that made me rebuy this mold, is because it feels different enough in robot and vehicle mode that, and it just on some level clicked with me. On the vain, glorious color palette of this boy, I am digging it, man. I am always going to drift more towards animation accuracy than toy accuracy, which is ironic considering this is the mold of the original figure with some slight tweaks. But I think that overall the details are really good. How he has the chest with the 6 flames on it instead of the 10. Plus, again, just how that more of that fuchsia color is contrasting nicely with the bright orange, and then he's got the little pops of where the silver pipes are, and then the dark gray lower shins, which that does kind of bring me to the feet because of how they had to adjust the paint budget to cover more of this boy in lieu of the stickers. That caused his actually die-cast feet to remain unpainted. Now, I would paint them black myself because I'm pretty sure I can do that, but I don't know if it would contrast too much with his gray lower shins down here. Now, what you're seeing right here, this is the maximum of his mobility on this original figure, is that he can move his arms up and down, but everything else on this boy, static. However, I'm not too upset because that's why we have this boy right here. If we want action poses out of a original Hot Rod, but I also did want to go ahead and use him as a point of reference. I think that if I did display these boys together on the shelf, I actually think that would look kind of cool. Just, again, just seeing how far we've come. Of course, I felt that I had to end Roddy's look with the only other actually G1/G2 figures that I have, and man, I tell you what, I like the vibe and the aesthetic, because everybody that knows me knows that I grew up with Beast Wars. So G1 did lay the foundation for what would become my favorite go-to series. So kind of a very interesting selection, I feel. And guys, I'm sorry if I went into my reviewer mode. That's not what the vibe of this channel is, you know that. I'm sorry, but when I'm looking at new guys, it's sort of just second nature. So anyway, like I said, I wanted it to be just more of a chill look. And like, this dude's surprising me with like the spinning, you know, spike shield weapon, ninja star, whatever you want to call this. That was a pleasant surprise. Plus, again, I think the fact that Crosscut's just amazing in the level of detail, and it really shows what this mold, I feel, is capable of from the very beginning. And then, of course, Roddy, we just talked about why he's so excellent, awesome himself. So, again, guys, thank you for all the love and support you've shown for the scavenger video. I do honestly believe that he may have been inspired by Unicron in his design. So that was kind of a funny homage if that was actually intentional. But if you guys don't mind, also, like I said, we're going to have the review of Leo Convoy coming up on the main channel. So with that being said, we'll see you guys next time.